Welcome ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take a look at the Stamina Nightblade PVP build for the Summerset Chapter. I do have a written guide on my website, link in the description below. Now, this works in Battlegrounds as well, in the No Champion Points campaign and in the Champion Points campaign. This is a melee build, so for this guide, in the first part of the video I just want to talk about the basics, so gear, CP and so on. And in the second part I will show you off some gameplay and how you should react in certain situations. Keep in mind, this should function as a baseline, because everybody plays different, so you might want to use some other sets and so on. Now, when we look at our stats, we have really good stats. Max health is decent, a lot of max stamina, and stamina recovery is really high. Now, weapon damage, we get up to about 4.4k when the weapon damage enchantment is active and the master bow is on, like the poison injection is on the enemy. We also have really nice crit resistance in the CP campaigns. Now, what in terms of Mundus stones, you want to run the warrior because it gives you a lot of weapon damage. If you struggle with sustain, which you really shouldn't, you could also run the serpent for more stamina recovery. In terms of buff food, we are using the dubious Cameron throne. This synergizes well with the set that we are using, which is the Bone Pirate. Now I will get to that in a second. Now there is a new food in Summerset, or a new drink, Arteum Takeaway Broth. This is currently bugged. Zenimax is already working on a fix. However, at the moment this doesn't work with Bone Pirate. So for now, use Dubious Cameron Throne, and once this is fixed, you can actually run this one, which will give you a little bit better stats, like 200 more health and stamina. Or just keep running this because it's a lot cheaper. The difference is really small. I can also recommend watching like this build. I played on stream on Twitch, so definitely make sure to come check it out. I basically stream daily at the moment, at least till start of July. Potions, there is basically two things. I prefer running Essence of Health because it gives me health, magic and stamina. Especially the health and magic is nice because you can use your cloak more. You can also run a sense of immovability. It gives you CC immunity, speed buff, and it restores stamina. But usually I prefer those here. That's it about this. In terms of race, the best race is a Wood Elf, because Wood Elves have more stamina recovery, and they also get the stealth damage when you're in stealth. Just a little bit better. It's not a huge difference, and they get 6% max stem, I think, or 3%, something like that. I'm simply a Khajiit because this was my second ever created character, and it's not too bad because we get more weapon critical rating and we still get the stealth damage and a little bit more stamina recovery. So a Khajiit will do totally fine, as you can see in the gameplay later. I played a lot with this in Battlegrounds and it works completely fine. Other races like Redguards, Imperial also work. But yeah, Wood Elf, then probably a Khajiit, Redguard, Imperial and so on. Now, I do not recommend being a vampire. You could be a werewolf if you really want to. And the thing with vampires at the moment is there is so much fire damage in the game, and it deals, you get so much extra damage, you basically instantly vaporize. Now, in terms of gear, so there's two setups that we can run. Always Bloodspawn, because this gives you really fast ultimate regeneration, so we can use our incapacitating strike more. It only costs 70 ulti and it's our main stun ability. Plus it gives us resistance and a stamina recovery bonus. The second set is Bone Pirate Tatters. Now this is a must-have. I tried to play without it, but once you don't use this, you just lack sustain, in my opinion. So that's why Bone Pirate and a drink synergizes really well together. See, while you have a drink buff active, your max stamina is increased by 1030 and stamina recovery by 145. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's so much, like, you get so much better stats. Now, this is a unique drop from the quest in Blackheart Haven. So you can get that one pretty easily. I do recommend at the moment, so I have 5-1-1 setup, so 5 medium, 1 light, 1 heavy. And you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 impen and 3 well fitted. Now you could go full impen if you want, but I do think well fitted is also nice because you want to dodge roll most of the attacks. The second and let's say the third and fourth set, so you have 2 options. At the moment I prefer 3 agility, all robust with 1 recovery, 2 weapon damage, and then I run the asylum 2-hander. You can run the imperfect or perfect one, it's literally 0 difference, like no joke. This helps a lot with ultimate regeneration. You basically can get incap ready in 3 seconds again. Especially if Bloodspawn procs and you use this on a low health target, you will have it ready in like 2-3 seconds. This ultimate is so freaking strong. I use Escapist Poison here, so they drain stamina from the target and they immobilize them for 1.6 seconds, which helps a lot. Now you could also just run damage health poisons or just some sort of poison, but I prefer this one because it immobilizes most enemies and it confuses the hell out of them. The last weapon is a Master's Bow, infused trait with a weapon damage enchantment. So with this alone, we get like 452 weapon damage, and that obviously stacks with weapon damage buffs. So you get like 600 weapon damage from this alone, and then you get another 300 from the set bonus. So once you apply the poison injection on the enemy, this one, you're good to go. So that's why it might not look like we have a lot of weapon damage, but it probably goes up to 4.5k or even higher. Now the second set that you could run is what they also like. Instead of agility and asylum, you could run 3 Spriggan jewelry and the Spriggan weapon. Now the two-handed weapons count as 2 pieces. You can get the full set. So 3 jewelry, weapon, and you have the 5-piece bonus, which increases your penetration by a lot. I do have both setups listed on my site. With the Spriggan setup, we use a little bit different bar setup. So I really recommend checking it out. Champion points in Battlegrounds, they're not active, keep that in mind, so it doesn't matter whether you're max CP or not in Battlegrounds or no champion points campaign. And the build is also made that you actually can sustain there, as you will see later in the gameplay. 61 Warlord, 1 Siphoner, 64 Mooncalf, 37 Arcanist. Now, this might seem like it's useless, but magic recovery is not bad, and we kinda need it to keep using Cloak. Then 27 Befool, 60 Tumbling. Now this is dodge roll. Keep in mind Tumbling doesn't have a jump point, so it doesn't matter how much point you put in there. On my website I do have an article about jump points. Go check it out if you want. Befool, this is really strong. Once again, our ultimate also afflicts the enemy with major defile, reducing their healing received and health recovery by 37%. So this is a very strong perk. I'm actually not sure if that has a jump. I will check later. But anyway, keep in mind, the build is always more up to date on the website. In case I change something, obviously I can change the video, but I can change the stuff on the website. Then we have 31 Weapon Experts, 61 Master at Arms, 28 Shattering Blows. This is so we can activate Tactician. We dodge roll a lot, and once we dodge roll, the enemy is set off balance. So once that happened, he will take 10% more damage. Because you also have a lot of points here. 43 mighty, 47 piercing, 40 precise strikes. 56 ironclad to reduce direct damage, 48 in resistant, then 37, 43, 43, and 23. That's a CP setup. Also do have a 300 CP setup on the side. Now, what passives do you need? You want to have all class passives, bow passives, two-hander passives, medium armor. Now heavy you want Juggernaut to get the 2% extra max health. You don't really need anything here. You could probably use this here, maybe, to get a little bit cheaper cloak, but there's barely any difference. If you want, you can use those, but not a huge difference. Fighter skilled, you need all fighter skilled. Suchik, you want it, especially the concentrated barrier. Use temporal guard on the back bar. Why? I will get to the skills in a second, but basically when we block on the back bar, we get the bubble. So it's just a very small shield, but it helps absorb damage, because when you have a shield up, you cannot get critical damage. You want Undaunted passives, because we run a 5-1-1 setup, we get 6% more max resources. Then you want all the Alliance War passives, racial passives, and medicinal use, so your potions last for like 45 seconds. You can get them up 100% of the time. Abilities. Rally. I do prefer Rally over Forward Momentum, because we have Shuffle here. Rally gives you a really nice burst heal, and it also gives you major brutality, applying weapon damage. Then Relentless Focus. Now, first of this gives stamina recovery, and you see, while active, hitting an enemy with 5 light attacks or heavy attacks, you activate an ability called Assassin's Scourge, and once you press it, then you will shoot the bow proc at the enemy, which deals a lot of damage. So you can use that in combination with your ultimate and so on. Surprise attack. Now this is your main spammable. Attacking with surprise attack while sneaking or invisible stuns the enemy for 4.6 seconds. So what you will see later in the gameplay, you cloak, you use this ability, and the enemy gets stunned. So that can also be very helpful, and they don't see it coming because you're invisible. Plus it applies Major Fracture, increasing your damage by a lot. And it just deals a lot of damage in general. Executioner with the Asylum two-hander. You obviously want to run the two-hand execute. So what does it do? When you deal damage with reverse slash, you generate up to 15 ultimate based on how much execute bonus damage it dealt. So when the enemy is really low health, you get so much ulti from this. I usually do recommend using it at like 30 to 25% of the enemy's health. Ambush, this is our gap closer. Now you could technically run Crit Rush if you prefer. Really up to you. Especially with the two-hander, no problem. I do like Ambush because, as you can see, also grants you Empower, increasing the damage of your next light attack. So that's pretty cool. Light attacks deal a lot of damage in this update. In-cap strike, so this is one of the strongest Nightblade abilities. It deals an insane amount of damage, it stuns the enemy, and it applies Major Defile. And like, it's just so strong. So you really want this, and we get this ready so fast. Back bar, Shuffle. Now this is here, so we have Major Evasion, 15% dodge chance. And once I activate it, you see each piece of medium armor 1 removes and grants immunity to snares immobilization effect for 0.5 seconds. So we have 5 pieces, we get 2.5 seconds immunity. So if you get rooted or snared, activate this, all the snares are gone. Shadowy Disguise. Now this is our main escape ability or main utility tool. When you're cloaked, enemies can't see you. You do a heavy attack into your ulti and so on, and it will deal so much damage. Plus, your next direct damage attack used within 3 seconds will always be a critical strike. So on top of the cloaking. So it's a really nice ability. Poison Injection deals a lot of damage from 50% and below. Plus, we use the Master Bow. So yeah. gives us more weapon damage. I also do have secondary gear setups on my side, keep that in mind, in case you don't have some gear. Leeching Strikes, this helps sustain a lot. You restore up to 4.3k additional stamina when the effect ends, based on the length of the time Leeching Strikes was active, and every time you do a light attack, it restores stamina. You could also run siphoning attacks, if you would like some more magical recovery for Cloak. Vigor. Now this is just here to heal us. With Rally and Vigor we should be fine. What you always can do is Cloak and then use Vigor and you're good to go. Temporal Guard, this is a Suchik ability. So first off, it's really cool to utilize. You get teleported back for seconds, so you can really escape tricky situations, and you might get, like, when you're out of Cloak, you have to use this too many times, you can use the ability, your Magicka will go back to full. While slotted, you gain minor protection, reducing your damage taken by 8%, so that's another really cool thing. Even if we get hit in Cloak, because somebody might be using a detection pot, you still get a little bit less damage. So Nightblade overall is very strong, and once again, the setup when we would use the Spriggan two-hander or Spriggan set, the skill setup is a little bit different. In general, this is a pretty normal stem Nightblade PvP build. I tested out a very tanky setup, but I really like this over the more tanky setup, because we are so much more bursty, we kill enemies faster, so we don't get that much damage. Now let's check out some gameplay. The full Battlegrounds match, link in the description. As you can see here, we are cloaking, heavy attack into incap, that dude is instantly dead. Then we get quite a lot of damage during this short phase, but we have a potion ready, which basically refills all our resources instantly, so we can cloak again. Take a look at our ultimate points. With the Asylum two-hander, you get so much ultimate back when you use Executioner. So as you can see, even though we don't have a lot of max Magicka, we can handle the situation quite well, just knowing when we can cloak, how long we can stay in cloak, and so on, using the potions at the right time. Enemy heavy armor, Magicka Warden, we are cloaked so they can't see us. Heavy attack, incap, surprise attack, Executioner, and he's dead before he even can stand up. And those are just a few examples, but it is very important to play Nightblade with combos, otherwise you will not manage to kill off your enemies. Also keep in mind, when you're cloaked and you use surprise attack before you use anything else, you will also stun the enemy, like I explained in the skills before. That's more or less it. You can watch the full Battlegrounds match, I will put the link into the description. Please make sure not to forget to subscribe, hit that juicy like button. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.